What time we got? You got a time? Anybody got a time?
3:20.
3:20? Okay.
Hi, Jim. I'd like to make a few questions.
Okay, yeah. I only started with the creation of the universe, so anybody got any question? Terry?
What do you think about the structures in Cusco, Peru? I've seen some of those huge ton things, and you cannot put a small knife in between any of them, and they just fit perfectly.
Exactly.
We couldn't have done that.
No, that gives, hey, I can't even find anybody to build me an extra room that can put 2 2x4s up, you know, correctly. No, that evinces a technology that we still don't have, and but was available to these ancients. In fact, in Cusco, where you're talking about the Aztecs, right? What happened to the Aztecs? You know, well, they tell you, well, they kind of fell apart and they all went back to the farm. They like disappeared, okay? There was a huge number of people that just weren't there anymore. So I don't know. Maybe it's like some of the UFO research people say. Maybe our space brothers came and got them. Any other question? Yes, sir.
You talked about Phobos. It has streaks on it that really resemble sedimentary strata.
As like water runoff?
It's like deposits in the sea.
Okay, yeah.
Could it be ejected from Earth that got knocked into an orbit around the moon, around Mars?
That's possible.
Why does the moon wobble in its monthly circle?
That's a good question. The question was, why does the moon wobble? The moon has a slight perturbation to it that just happens to perfectly match the perturbation of the Earth's orbit. In other words, instead of running parallel, they kind of go like that. And both of them. Yes, and it slips a little bit too. I think that has to do with maintaining the orbit. But hey, I'm not the scientist, I'm just the reporter. Yes, sir.
All of my life I've watched the moon go through its phases, from left to right or right to left. Now I'm watching it go from north to south.
Huh. Yeah, I have heard that.
All right, and it's like, wait a minute, I'm 60-something years old. I've watched it go this way for 60 years, and all of a sudden it's starting to go this way. How do you explain that?
Well, for one thing that I know for certain is that the magnetic North Pole has shifted. It's now down into Siberia somewhere, so that might account for it. And again, then there are those who are talking about the return of Nibiru and that it's causing magnetic disturbances all through our solar system. We keep hearing about global warming, and I'm not here to tell you that nothing's happening. All you got to do is go outside Texas in the summer. You'll know that everything's getting hotter. Okay, the world is warming up, but what I want to tell you is that it's not just the Earth. The polar caps on Mars are decreasing; they're melting. The ice on some of the moons of Jupiter, they're melting. Some of the outer planets are becoming more luminescent, which means they're heating up. So whatever it is not your SUV. Sorry, Al. It is solar system wide. And again, that gives support to those who said that maybe this body, this Nibiru, if you want to call it that, Planet X, Planet Wormwood, whatever you want to call it, may be coming into our solar system and it's causing disturbances. Yes, ma'am.
You said at the very beginning of this something about this ice cream cone, and you said you would talk more about it later, and
yeah.
I just have to know about that.
Thank you, because apparently I forgot to add that on a slide. But both in Egypt and on Easter Island, they have found these little cone-shaped objects, and they're only about that big. Okay, and of course you pick them up and mess around with them and they don't seem to do anything. But the idea seems to be that these can focus individual energy, and if they're tuned correctly, how many of you all are familiar with Rife technology? Yeah, good, a bunch of you. All right, so you know that we all have an electrical field around ourselves, and it all vibrates at a certain frequency. And so the idea is that if you can match your individual frequency with these tools, that it enhances and focuses this energy, which allows them to lift things and do stuff. And I can't tell you if that's true or not, but like I said, both on Easter Island and Egypt and other places, they have found these little cone-shaped objects, a lot of them, lying around. Of course, they didn't know what they were. And of course, just you pick one up and you aim it and try to do something, it's not attuned to you, so it's not going to work properly. But that seems to be the idea. Yes, ma'am.
I'd just like to comment that the other night with George Norrie on Coast to Coast, you were really diversified and you answered everybody's questions so good.
Oh, well, thank you. I'm the last of a dying breed. I'm a generalist. I know a little bit about a lot of things. I don't claim to know a whole lot about anything.
Do you have any excuse me, speculation on the mechanism for Noah's flood or Joshua's longest day?
I think, I don't, but now the idea seems to be he wants to know the explanation for Noah's flood and for Joshua's longest day, where the sun apparently like held in the sky for, it was like missing a whole 24 hours or whatever. This gets back to the question about the North Pole shifting and the fact that the moon is altering or is appearing to us in a different manner. And I think, again, that shows you that there's changes taking place with the Earth and with its rotation and with its relationship with the other planets. And of course, you know, we're just like ants on a big old huge beach ball. We just don't really notice it, except for you. And but it is taking place. And again, you would expect, this is the thing that gripes me, especially as an old newsman, is that I would expect to go to NOAA or NASA or, you know, the National Weather Service or somewhere and get a straight answer about some of this stuff, but we're not. I mean, a meteor hits in Russia and then another one hits in San Francisco, and immediately NASA is saying, well, they're not related. How do you know they're not related? And how'd you know within 24 hours they're not related? I mean, you know, this is keep calm, folks, keep shopping. Yes.
Where do you get this information about San Francisco and Cuba?
Just go on the internet. Just put in meteor Cuba and you can read all about it. Yeah. Well, see, that's why you turn on the radio, right? That's why you turn on the TV. But they're not telling you anything, are they? Well, I'm sorry. All I can tell you is you just, you know, this is tough, folks. It's really tough. You're going to have to start thinking for yourself.
Back to Russia, you mentioned Russia. Prime Minister of Russia was on an interview in Russia, and I was asked a question, what about the ETs? And he was talking about the president of Russia carrying a nuclear briefcase and information about dealing with the ETs. And he said, just watch our Men in Black, not the goofy Men in Black that is in our country, but the documentary of Men in Black.
Right.
Do you know any additional information about that?
Not really.
The Russians are really...
All I know is I watched that interview, and the interviewer is going, oh really? You know, like, and thought it was some big joke. He wasn't making a joke.
No, he was not making a
He was perfectly straight-faced. He said, yeah, we carry around the suitcase with nuclear codes and how to deal with the ETs. And you have your movie about the Men in Black, but we got people on top of this. He's telling the truth. The Vatican has spoke very clearly about the presence of ETs. Mexico, they got ETs and UFOs on the TV all the time. People around the world are much better educated in that area than we ever thought about being, okay? Because they're keeping us dumb and in the dark so they can keep controlling us. Yes?
Jim, you know, you and I have talked about this before. I'm surprised with, you know, going back as an ancillary to like Project Grudge, Project Sign, and then Project Blue Book, the absolute apathy of the U.S. government about studying this stuff, you know, the phenomena that's, you know, that are clearly happening all the time with some of these, you know, like the Belgian flap and that flight, the JAL flight. Those are, you know, absolute legitimate sightings. And the U.S. government has just apathy is what it is.
Au contraire. It's not apathy. It's lying and deceit and cover-up, because I know for a fact that deep within the government, they're very concerned, very alert. They're right on top of that. They're trying to figure it all out too.
Right.
But hey, we're just the tax-paying public. We don't need to know about this. We just need to keep going. You mentioned Belgium. I think that's a great example right there. This was several years ago over Belgium. They're having these huge black triangles moving very slowly, you know, like 30, 40 miles an hour. And by the way, anybody knows aviation, you can't stay in the air at 30, 40 miles an hour. You know, I think, what is it, about 80 to 90, or at least 98, you know, is airspeed. And so the people said, and the government said, nothing there, folks, don't worry about it. And the people didn't stand for it. They said, no, we've seen it, we want to know what this is. And the government then turned around and said, well, okay, it's secret military testing, which I think is a load. But the people went, okay, all right. They could accept that, and they went on. But hey, that's better than we're getting.
Right.
Yes.
What do you think about the Pope stepping down?
Well, it makes me wonder about Father Malachi's prophecies, right?
Yeah.
And we were talking about this earlier. You know, he said there's going to be one more pope named Peter, and after that, no more popes, no more Catholic Church. And what's amazing is that they've already said that the new pope, they're not going to designate him St. Peter. No, sir. Except the guy that looks like he's in line for the seat is named Peter. Oops. Yeah. Yeah, but he's still Peter. And they got to get rid of this guy because Ratzovitz or whatever.
Sandy the Rat.
Yeah, whatever. Do y'all realize that during World War II he was a Hitler Youth? Okay, so he was the right guy for the time, because as the Nazis slowly were taking over the world, they needed a pope that would go along with them, and boy, he did, and he helped cover up the child molestation and everything else. But it's getting dangerous now because people are waking up, and so I like the idea that he steps down and then just lives quietly in the Vatican and nobody can touch him. All right, no demotion, no firing, no jail sentence. Yes.
No Inquisition.
Jim, you brought us up to the current time. I just wonder if you've got a book plan, or if you could sum up what you feel about the true agenda of the current administration. You got the media, you're a newsman. You got any words about that? If you do a book, I don't want you to disappear.
The game plan of the current administration, well, to me it seems to be number one, destroy the United States of America.
Absolutely.
Okay? I mean, I'm sorry. And they're brilliant. They know how to handle it, see, so they've got a black man in there. And if you try to criticize what's going on, all of a sudden you're a racist.
Racist.
Well, I'll tell you what, I know plenty of black people. I'd vote for them in a second. I have no problem with that. Same deal here. I don't have any problem with a woman as President of the United States. Unfortunately, though, I don't think Hillary Clinton classifies.
And we have time for
One more question. Yes, sir.
Yes, when you mentioned about the ancients, or the influence that was here amongst the ancients, and who have obviously manipulated our history, past and current, do you think that they were always on the earth, or within the earth, or a presence here, or what is your take on it?
Okay. I can't give you a pat answer because I don't know for sure, but just based on all my knowledge and study, I think that early on there were some ETs on the planet that declared themselves, or were declared gods, and I think they were very different from us. I think they were tall. They were known as the shiny ones. They might have had scales. They might have had a reptilian cast. Some of you all know that we have a reptilian part of our brain, and nobody quite knows where that came from. But I think once that they developed this hybrid, this modern man, we're kind of a mix, okay? Kind of a crossbreed between these aliens and between early Earth primitives. And they, for some reason, decided to withdraw. And I think there may be still some pure aliens on the planet, but they are few and far between, and they may even be quarantined here, okay? But they got minions. They got people who are closely related who operate on their behalf. And I would mention the Rothschilds And I would mention their surrogates, the Rockefellers, and these families. By the way, just to show you that there is this connection. Years ago, one of the Rothschilds was named Nimrod Rothschild. And they claim, they themselves claim to be the descendants of the ancient Sumerian god king Nimrod. So they know about this connection. All right, but now I can't tell you how many are on the planet, but I think there's a few, and I think they're trying to run the world, and they're doing it through their surrogates, through their front people. Thank you all so much. Let's go get a beer.